Hey, my name is xPeke from Team Origen, and this is my basic champion guide to Corki Mid. The good thing about Corki is that it's a champion that has no really bad matchups. Being semi-AD and semi-caster, because your Q and your auto attacks give you so much dominance in lane, it doesn't matter what the enemy team picks, you will always be fine in the game. And that makes it a safe pick and also a strong pick for the team, because he doesn't only get a lot of pressure in some matchups, but once he gets the package, he's able to scare the whole team, pretty much like a Twisted Fate, because the moment you don't see Corki, both lanes have to stay scared until he shows up in the map again, and that's something that put a lot of pressure without you necessarily having to do a lot for it. The laning phase with Corki is pretty straightforward. If you don't have a hard matchup, let's say you're playing against a melee or some mates that cannot really trade with you can just start with your Q and push the wave. You will have so much control over the lane if every time he goes for an auto, he's scared of you punishing him with a Q or even a Q auto. Because once you do the Q and you hit it, you will win the trade always. If it's a harder matchup, maybe like a LeBlanc, in which you are scared of trading because he can outplay you a bit with the W, is normally where you try to play a bit more passive until she uses or wastes her W. Once she uses it is when you try to go hard on her. It's really good if you're confident on Corki, because you can always pressure more than with other champions thanks to your W. Your W will always put you on safety range without having to use flash, and if you really play good around this and every time your jungler is near, you just push the turret, you can punish the other guy really hard. And it's the same with Corki. It's a bit hard to set up ganks yourself because you don't really have any CC, so it's always better to be the one that is having the pressure and then moving with your jungler somewhere else. Teamfighting with Corki is a lot different than with other mid laners. It's pretty much like playing an AD carry, with the difference that you have some poke. What you wanna do mostly is stay next to your AD carry, because thanks to your E, reducing their armor, you can both of you focus the tank at the same time and you will kill him super fast. One of the things you also can do with Corki when you are really strong into late game is looking for a flank. It's really good if you can maybe jump the enemy carry over a wall and kill him, because you will always beat AD carries 1v1 if you get them by surprise. It's really good that in fights, even though you're hitting the front line or you're not able to hit, you try to hit with your rockets the back line. They hurt a lot, and if you get to hit a big one on an enemy AD carry or AP, you might take like 1/4 of their HP out, and it's really good if you are doing damage while they are just waiting. Corki ultimate is really special because it's an ultimate that is really spammable, and also every third rocket becomes a big one. This rocket is really strong in lane or even in fights because it has way more AoE than the normal rocket, which means that you can even hit the tanks, but it also deals extra damage. And if by any chance you hit an enemy carry with a big one, you will take like 1/4 of their HP once you have your Source Boots and your Triforce. Since the rework, Corki has changed not so much, but they added a new feature to him. Pretty much is his passive is called the package, and at minute 8 at base it respawns a package that you can pick up, and every 5 minutes after you drop it. This package remote is really strong because it lasts 1 minute and it gives you like a passive home guards. Every time you're not in fight, you move really fast around the map, and it also increases your Valkyria range like 5 times the normal range. You can pretty much gank a silent, teleporting almost from Nash or Drake almost to the lane, and it's really strong. The thing that makes really scare people as well is that when you pick it up, they hear like a noise, so they always will be a bit scared in every lane until you show up in the map. Corki doesn't really have any losing matchups, but he does have really some hard matchups, like I would say Zed and LeBlanc, more Zed than LeBlanc though. It's a really hard matchup for Corki because even though early game you are farming equal, maybe even a bit ahead, the moment he gets his level 6, level 7, you have to be really scared because even though you have Valkyria, at any time he ultimates you, he can chase you with his shadow, and if he gets to pull a good ultimate ignite on you, he can kill you. And that makes you not play like normally, in a way that normally you have the pressure, and in this lane, you have to be the one getting pressure since you don't want to risk it going out and getting ultimated by him. The good thing about Corki and Triforce is that the cooldown of the ultimate and the cooldown of Triforce are pretty similar, and it's really good in every fight if instead of you shooting a rocket and then auto-attacking to proc the Shin, you can auto-attack and then shoot the rocket. The animation of the rocket is so fast that it will proc on the auto-attack even though you land it afterwards. For Corki as runes, I use a really weird page in which I go for 10% attack speed. For that I get 6 of the red runes attack speed, and the other 3 I get them as attack damage. For the queens, I also get full AD on all of them, and for yellows I get HP scaling per level and MR scaling per level. The MR runes, it depends. Sometimes you get flat MR, but I only do it if I'm facing a magic jungler like Elise or Gragas and a mid laner that has a lot of damage early like Syndra or LeBlanc. And the reason to get that extra 10% attack speed is mostly because it helps you a lot in the lane to CS and harass at the same time. In the mid lane, it's a lot about trading 1 or 2 autos and winning the trade. And if you have a higher attack speed, it can allow you to last hit and harass him instantly really fast when he's going for a CS. For Corki, I always go for 12-18-0. You can decide on changing a few things maybe, like instead of Cookie, if you're gonna start with the Potion of Corruption, you can start with Assassin instead, since you're never gonna get any benefit out of the Cookie. With Corki, you can start Q or E. That depends pretty much on how much you think you're gonna harass the other guy. If it's a melee matchup, you can just take E, but I like to start with Q always because it allows you to farm and harass at the same time and have pressure in lane early. For level 2, I always take Valkyria because it's really helpful if you get gank or if you wanna go on the guy with a gank yourself. It allows you to move faster and it's way safer and it's not worth taking the risk of not taking in level 2. For level 3, I max Q again. And then level 4 I take E, and at that point I use max Q always, then E, then W. The starting item on Corki is either Flask of Corruption or Dorans and a Cookie. That pretty much depends on how you think your lane is gonna play out. If you think it's gonna be a lane that is mostly gonna be about farming, both far away from each other, you can just go for Doran's Blade, and when you trade one auto, you will win because you will have sustain and an extra damage. If you think it's gonna be, on the other hand, a lane that is more explosive, in which both of you wanna fight a lot, let's say like Queen Corki, it's better to start with the Flask, because that allows you that every time you take a trade, you just pop the pod and trade for a long period of time and you will win. The items I tend to build normally is always Trinity Force first. It's a really strong item on Corki and it gives you everything you need for your packs to be stronger. The first item you can buy on your first back, it can be Sin or Phage. I normally like to buy Phage, if possible, because it gives you better stats. But if you just want to harass in lane and win it hard, to take a Sin is also viable. After that, I always like to go for Source Boots. Sometimes before finishing the Triforce, sometimes when I finish it, it depends on my base. And after having Triforce Source Boots, you are at your strongest point in the game pretty much, because it's when you have most of the damage from the rockets and from your Atos, so it's when you want to start fighting the most. After that, pretty much you can go either Rapid Fire Cannon or Infinity Edge first, and then the other one. And after that, it's just a normal AD carry build in which you can go for BT or for a QSS or for a bit of tankiness if you want a GA or a Banshee. Maul of my Mortius sometimes as well. It's really good if you're against heavy AP team. Thanks for watching this basic champion guide. Make sure to check out some of the rest of the guides over at lolclass.com.